Okay, we've got a lot of UFO news to talk about today, so get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like and subscribe and let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Hope you guys are having a great Sunday. I'm going to try to space my mystery drone reporting out just a little bit to get in some other news. It looks like this mystery drone thing may be around for a little while. So, yeah, I've got to definitely incorporate some other news, but there's a lot of mystery drone news to cover, too. It's not just in New Jersey. U.S. military confirms drone sightings at air base in Germany. Drones were spotted flying over the U.S. base at Remstein in Germany in early December. There were no impacts to base residents, facilities, or assets. In concert with host nation authorities, we continue to monitor the airspace to ensure safety and security of the community. They're also in New York. They're not showing up on transponders, on flight trackers. Their transponders aren't showing up on flight trackers.
New Jersey Senator Andy Kim shared this video of drones he shot yesterday. Federal authorities insist most of these sightings are actually legally manned aircraft. But Senator Kim says he checked a flight tracker app while capturing this video and that the devices he was capturing were not on it. The sightings are happening near LaGuardia Airport, too. Officials say they received unconfirmed reports of drone activity over that busy airport. As for numbers, the FBI says it's received more than 3,000 tips from the public about drone sightings going back to November 18th, all over New Jersey. Since then, there's been an average of 92 sightings per night, and it
92 sightings per night. Yeah, interesting how they only show up at night. That is interesting. If it's the phenomenon providing some sort of disclosure, they're doing what they typically do, like with the Phoenix lights, only showing up at night. If it's, man-made, it's interesting. If they're engaged in some stealthy activity, why they have lights all over them. It's strange. I may get into some of the pros and the cons of the various arguments in a minute, but let's continue.
President-elect Donald Trump, he just called on the Biden administration for you guys to either release any information it has about these mysterious drone sightings or shoot the drones out of the sky. How do you respond to the president-elect?
Well, and by the way, this is Homeland Security Secretary.
First of all, the statements I've made already are the principal message that I want to communicate to the American public. We haven't seen anything unusual. We know of no threat. Secondly, we have gone to Congress repeatedly asking for more authority to counter drone activity. And we have also asked for more authority to give to the state and local officials under our supervision, because it correctly notes those authorities need to be expanded.
Okay, interesting. So, that goes along with what Kirsten Gillibrand was saying, giving authority to people to shoot these things down. It's so weird that they don't have authority to do that. Timothy Alberino says, I am getting face peeler vibes from this New Jersey drone situation. This allegedly drone technology appears to be extremely advanced, but not as anomalous as typical UFO activity, which is precisely what was happening in the Peruvian Amazon last year. So I guess it's probably a good idea just to get into some of the pros and the cons of whether it's man-made or not. Definitely there's some anomalous features, like it not showing up on thermal, but you could explain that with simply, high tech that is not in the public purview, right? Some black ops stuff, some control group technology. And it seems, from, my information about the face peeler phenomenon in Peru, that horribly alarming phenomenon that was gripping parts of Peru, and I think Brazil as well. It looks like that was probably humans doing that. So, we don't know for certain. We don't have nearly enough information about that. But, my take on that is it was some rogue faction of the control group or some related group that has this fancy technology. So could they be the ones responsible for this current mystery drone flap? Yeah, absolutely. But why? What are they doing? They're obviously trying to get attention from either the general public or, from, sending a message to somebody else, some other faction or government. It's hard to make sense of why they would be so overt as they are, if indeed that's what's going on. It could also be the phenomenon trying to provide some sort of disclosure, right? Or else, the phenomenon sending a message trying to avert World War III, possibly, something like that. Now, an argument against it being, the phenomenon, the UFO phenomenon, or even the greater phenomenon, is that there's no other anomalous activity associated with it that I am aware of at this moment. And if you've seen it, let me know. But, Ronnie Vernick goes down to investigate the UFO flap in the Amazon. He gets UFOs, but he also gets poltergeist, right? In Las Vegas, you got aliens in your backyard one moment, you have a haunted house the next. There's all sorts of, paranormal, metaphysical phenomena associated often with UFO activity. And on an event of this scale, with this many sightings, thousands of sightings that, have been reported to the FBI, I would expect at least some of those to have some other anomalous phenomena associated with it, if it was indeed the UFO phenomenon responsible for it. So, yeah, I hard to make sense of. Let me know your take. I'd love to hear it. But, yeah, Christopher Noel says, another UFO caught in mid-transformation, this time in broad daylight. Now, I've asked for the video of this because there's clearly part of a video. I haven't seen it yet, but we could have another example of a shape-shifting UFO. And I can't wait to see that. And when I do, I'll definitely report on it. If these bright orbs are indeed turning into structured craft like the drones or whatever they are, then that definitely looks way more anomalous, right? Now, some people will think those videos that I've shown have been debunked or can be debunked or explained by mundane reasons. Hey, maybe they can't. So I would love to get some confirmation that this is a thing that is actually happening, that these orbs are indeed changing shape into these other things. But yeah, so really, really intriguing, really juicy, big if true. I don't think that would be control group technology, but let me know if you think the control group has shape-shifting orbs. Jay Anderson says, breaking, renowned UFO researcher and scientist Jacques Vallée believes the UFO disclosure process is a lie. And this is getting into other UFO news, not mystery drone related. So yeah, let's just take a gander at what Jacques has to say about what's currently going on with the UFO disclosure process. What is happening, he says, is not at all what we thought would happen once there was recognition of the problem. We thought there would be an opening to the scientific community and the public. That's not what's happening. Jeffrey and I came from a meeting at the Esalen Institute with a number of scientists who are involved and have very high security clearances on subjects that the public is not told about. And what the public is seeing about UFOs on television and in newspapers and on the internet is entirely driven by military concerns. We're rushing into interpretations at various high levels, including Congress, on false data. It's partial data behind multiple shields of secrecy. This is not disclosure. So yeah, really interesting comments from Jacques Vallée, whose opinion I value very highly, and I'll link to the full thing and you can read it at your leisure. But he is not satisfied with the current UFO disclosure process happening in the U.S. I guess he's talking about Lou Elizondo and Dave Grush, UAP disclosure amendment, and that sort of thing. This mainstream disclosure process that we have seen play out over the last few years. Now, he is seeing something disingenuous about it. So I would love to know what he knows. We're unlikely to get that. But yeah, very intriguing comments from Jacques Vallée. Meanwhile, let's give a listen to what Stephen Greer is saying.
There's a good bit of good news I learned about an hour ago. There are a couple people who are going to be moved into key positions at the CIA that I have known for some time and who are supporters of disclosure and are very conscious people, and they're going to be in key positions in a few weeks. And I can't say more than that, but I have to be very careful what I say about some of the methods and sources and people, but I'm talking about people I work with directly, and these are people who understand what's at stake, and they have come to events with me. I have met them. There's a good...
Yeah, so I take Stephen Greer very seriously when he says this. Why? Well, because it coincides with what Ross Coulthart was saying and the timeline that Ross is giving us early 2025, he says all hell is going to break loose. Now, maybe he was talking about the drones. He said it in the same breath as a conversation about the mystery drones. But he could also have been referring to this disclosure event that Stephen Greer was talking about. He's been saying we're going to get defectors from the UFO control group itself with evidence provided by them. And we're going to have, new people in the CIA who are going to be part of this disclosure initiative. Very exciting. Again, big if true. We've heard all these exciting claims before, but I'll be on the edge of my seat. So we'll see. We'll see. Meanwhile, from Ross Coulthart, great work from Rich McHugh confirming these supposed drones were seen coming from the ocean. If they are over the ocean, then why can we not shoot them down? The answer, I'm told, is that they are evading most high-tech U.S. surveillance. More on this on our News Nation special. And this is the piece that he's referring to.
One of their officers called 911 after seeing 50 of them come off the ocean.
Advised after we made contact with that officer that there were 50 that came off the ocean. 50? 50. That was my reaction also. There were 50 that were coming off the ocean.
And this is a sworn officer?
A sworn officer, yes. We contacted state police, we contacted the FBI, we contacted the Coast Guard, at which point the Coast Guard went out with their boat and they reported seeing 13 following their boat. And then the Coast Guard also advised that they went over them about 300 feet and had a wingspan of about 8 feet.
Yeah, really intriguing, right? So, if they're coming and going from boats, from, a foreign power, for example, to refuel or recharge, why can't we find those boats, right? What good are our satellites doing? Maybe they're coming and going from submarines, but, I'm not sure if that works either. I think we could probably find submarines too. Really, really intriguing that they're coming and going from the water. Are they coming and going as transmedium objects going into the water as UFOs do? From, to possibly subterranean or aquatic, bases of some sort. Who knows, guys? Who knows? Another possible argument for it being the UFO phenomenon. Potentially. Think Tank says, lost in all the news is this little tidbit. The mystery drones don't give off heat and invisible on thermals. And I went over that yesterday, but it's definitely worth repeating.
The department says these mystery drones evade detection because they don't give off heat like regular drones.
Why do you think that is? We don't know. It's just something that we haven't, it's not something that we've had our hands on. It's not something that we've experienced.
Something they hadn't experienced until now.
Yeah. Dun, 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 dun. I don't know, guys. Ross also says the claims made by the White House POTUS National Security Spokesman Admiral John Kirby on the supposed drones are in total contradiction to what the Department of Defense has told local reporter Katie Corrado. Does anyone actually care that misleading comments are being issued by senior national figures? And here's the correspondence that she received from the Department of Defense, where we have all these confirmed sightings of these mystery drones. And when it says confirmed, that means a police officer actually witnessed this thing. An unconfirmed, or where a police officer didn't. They received a call, but they didn't confirm it themselves. But look at all these confirmed sightings by police officers of these objects. Really interesting. And then there's this message. Naval Weapons Station Earl is aware of the recent reports of drone sightings across New Jersey and continues to closely coordinate with federal and state agencies to ensure the safety of our personnel and operations. While no direct threats to the installation have been identified, we can confirm at least 2 instances of an unidentified drone entering the airspace above Naval Weapons Station Earl. And I think that's what Ross is talking about, the conflict between what the Department of Defense told Katie and what John Kirby told the rest of us. Saying, it could be manned vehicles, legally operated manned vehicles. They're not entering the airspace above the air bases, right? There's no actual incursion being done. Well, apparently the Department of Defense has a different tune. They are saying, they are going into our airspace. Meanwhile, there's a really cool video here. Again, we're still on the fog of war on all of this. It's hard to know what's real and what's not. But Christopher Noel shared this really cool video of this anomalous-looking object. Check it out. I mean, look at that bank of lights right there. I mean, that is not the sort of lights that a plane has, right? Looks like the back of a Star Destroyer or something. It's crazy. I would love more angles on this thing. Maybe it can be explained by mundane reasons, but really interesting. Really interesting. Yeah. Look at that, V-shaped thing, and you can kind of see the outline of a larger structure there. Okay, very interesting UAP, UFO drone footage. This was cool because you can see there is some sort of possible interference. This guy is videoing a mystery drone, and something about this drone seems to be interfering with the electronic equipment, causing strange light effects on his camera. Look at that weird thing. I mean, that's not a normal lens flare. That's unusual. And there's more weird light effects too. That's the mystery drone. Whether it's Black Ops stuff or aliens, I don't know, but it seems to be causing some sort of interference in his camera. And my mind goes to the Scott Roeder information on the Las Vegas aliens in the backyard, where he was analyzing the video, where not only was the shadowy being, or looked shadowy in the video, cloaking itself from the people on the scene, but it was actually altering how the camera perceived it. And that's another weird lighting effect. It was that shadowy being was showing half the number of pixels as everything else in that video, right? It was cloaking itself digitally or something from the camera. Really weird, it's really weird. So is that an example of that? Is that possibly something along the lines of what we're looking at? I don't know. Let me know what you think. Meanwhile, here's this is interesting from James Fox.
And then John Klaskowski comes in and talking, and they said, well, it's funny, actually, a prerequisite is the mandatory watching. If you're going to work for AARO, you have to watch The Phenomenon. I was like, you're kidding me. He goes, no, I'm not. And then he said, boy, that
really?
Case,
that's pretty cool.
I swear to God. He goes, that case at the end of The Phenomenon, that landing case in Africa. Wow. And I said, yeah, right. Isn't that incredible? He's like, that's really incredible. All those children saying the same thing. It was really cool. And then that's when I started saying, look, you guys got to throw us a bone. I mean, we ultimately know that the vast majority of these things can be explained, right? Because it's the resolution office. But there's a stubborn core, 15, 20% that clearly not. It's probably, non-human intelligence. They didn't deny anything or shake their heads no or anything. And that's when John, the new head of AARO, looked at me and he said, I can say this, and I'm going to say it. He said, James, I can't part my hair without the DOD's approval. And you can quote me on that.
Yeah, that's wild. So, not surprising. What is surprising is that they wouldn't be familiar with the contents of The Phenomenon, even if they hadn't seen the movie itself. Dr. John Kozlowski, the lovely Dr. Kozlowski, didn't know about the Ariel School event. What are we to make of that? Are these people ignorant of the UFO phenomenon? Are they deceiving us? What is going on there? That is really weird. But it is encouraging that they are at least watching The Phenomenon as a prerequisite for working at AARO. But it's no surprise that Dr. Kozlowski can't part his hair without permission from the Department of Defense. But that is kind of frustrating. But, that is what we're dealing with. Meanwhile, Eric Davis says some really interesting stuff in this interview. He says there are no ARVs. That's right. According to Dr. Eric Davis, we don't have our own UFOs. No reverse engineered UFOs here. I don't know if I buy that, Eric.
One of the things you kind of definitively said during your talk up there was that there are no ARVs or alien reproduction vehicles. And so I think that's really it's a kind of a bombshell because there's so many theories out there like, oh, this incident or that incident or
Well,
other thing,
I know.
ARV, but I can sort of take their word for it, because we barely scratched the surface of how they even.
Yeah.
So I have some questions about this. So like, do you think anything's happened recently, maybe like in the last like 10 years that's real new, like advancement, like progress?
I'm not aware of it because I'm out of it now.
Sure.
I've been out of it since the OSAP ATIP ended. So, so I'm not read into it at the level I was for the OSAP and ATIP purposes. I don't know. All I do know is I was given a firm, hey, in 1989, the CIA shut it all down because us, and we know the other companies that we had been found out from our customer didn't make any progress after several decades of investigating. There was no progress made.
Okay, yeah, so, that could be true. I mean, from his information, he could honestly believe that. And even that program, for example, like what Bob Lazar worked on, they weren't making a lot of progress. Indeed, that could have been shut down. But that seems, with the control group, there are layers and there are layers, right? There are the outer layers or the middle layers, like the Bob Lazar layers, where they are, tinkering with stuff. But then there's the deeper layers where they do seem to have functional craft, many functional craft. They have deep underground military bases. They're working with beings. They're shooting down the UFOs of other beings. There's some deep, crazy stuff that appears to be going on and that appear legitimate from all I've seen. But there are these middle and outer layers that aren't in on all of that. And so Eric Davis, I think, is commenting on that without any knowledge of those deeper layers. I think. I don't know what all Eric Davis knows and what he doesn't know. I would love to know, but let me know if you are satisfied with that interpretation or if you have a different interpretation. Anyway, I think that's probably. Oh yeah, I'll leave you with this because another one shared by Chris. Thank you, Chris. Chris is sending me all sorts of great stuff. I shared the other day of one of these objects, these mystery drones emitting kind of a plume, kind of an exhaust. Well, there's multiple of these videos of these objects with this, this trail behind it, this plume, this exhaust trail, whatever it is. What is going on with these things? What are they doing? Is this a function of their propulsion? Are they deliberately, putting something in the air? Is this part of the reason for them doing what they're doing? I don't know. Or is this a video that can be explained by mundane reasons? We're still in the fog of war on all of this. I've got so many questions. I don't know if we're ever going to get answers to half of them or like 1% of them. But, it's exciting times, guys. We could be living in an era where the phenomenon itself is trying to disclose to us, which is pretty cool. I hope, maybe. We'll see how it goes. But it could also be in an era where the UFO control group, or at least some faction of it, is doing something pretty major. Whether that's blue beam or something else, we don't know yet. So we don't know which way the pendulum is going to swing on this, or if it's going to be good or bad. Like I said yesterday, I've got popcorn in one hand and the door to my bunker in the other. So yeah, let me know. Let me know which way I should go. I'm waiting on pins and needles. But let me know if you have seen any other information about any of this. I'd be particularly interested to see if you have seen any more anomalous, phenomena associated with the mystery drone phenomena. Poltergeist, consciousness events, out-of-body experiences, hitchhikers, whatever, something like that. Something that would be more definitively associated with the UFO phenomenon. Otherwise, we might be looking at something more man-made, as Timothy Alberino suggested. So let me know what you think it all is and where you think it's all going in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, thumbs up, like and subscribe, share on social media, Facebook and Twitter links below. Buy some merch. There's hoodies and coffee mugs in the merch store. Check out the link. Or you can become a channel member. Channel members are rock stars, and I really appreciate you guys' support. Thank you. Meanwhile, there's plenty of other videos on the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Rude, signing out.